Every successful entrepreneur that I have met has this one skill, and this skill is the ability to think and process information and strategize at a different level fundamentally than everybody else. And this skill it's called meta-level reasoning and meta-level thinking. And the reason why it's so important is because, why don't we just look at a simple example, right? Let's just say we posted content together and we got 2,000 views on the reel. The reel got 2,000 views as a result of the actions, so this was the output of the actions that we took to generate that outcome, okay? And so you and I are thinking now, we're like, okay, how do we optimize this metric? How do we increase, instead of 2,000 views, how do we get 20,000 views? How do we get 200,000? How do we get 2 million views? And so we then go from the object level thinking, right, the output of the observed output of 2,000 views, and we think at the strategy level, what needs to be true in order for us to optimize this output, the 2,000 views, so that we can 10x the output from the actions that we take. So we look at hooks, we look at retention editing, we look at all of these things that contribute, or we think contribute to an increase in the data or the metric that we're optimizing for. And now it sort of brings us to the meta level. And so the meta level is that, why are we optimizing for views in the first place? Like what is it about views? Is this the metric? Is this correct? Is this the right metric that we need to optimize in order for us to achieve the outcome within our business? This is meta-level thinking. And said in another way, we're just looking at above the system level. It's like, why does this system exist? It sort of goes into that analogy where it's like, before you tear down a fence, you need to understand why it was put there, right? It's like, we don't want to just optimize for this metric that we don't even know. Like, why are we even optimizing this? So many people nowadays in personal branding are optimizing for views, and we see it all the time. And this is sort of the fall of the marketing industry, or at least the antithesis of the marketing industry, where they associate views to success. They're like, hey, this reel was successful. It got 100K views. Our marketing efforts were good. And then it's like, okay, that's not the point of marketing. Marketing is to engineer buyer movement, right? It's like to get them closer to making a purchase. That is the whole goal of marketing. You move them closer to the sale where money exchanges hands, right? And then you can argue that, along with marketing is to like handle objections depending on what you're actually marketing. Is it a product, a service? Is it a software, right? It's like, there are a lot of different, marketing tactics in which, depending on the business model that you're actively running, but like thinking higher level, that's the whole thing, right? It's like when we think about constraint identification, and we both see it with Alex Hormozi, he'll sit down and like ask these meta level questions to these business owners, and he just knows that this is what he needs to be asking, because that's a skill set. It's something that you have to accumulate over time and build over time as you learn and grow within your business. And it's one of the most important levers that you can pull, is to understanding why these things exist and what are we optimizing for. And we objectively look at the table with all of the resources on it, right? And it sort of ties into how the skill set that you have can make you blind, right? So it's like you can be blind to the problem based on the skill that you have. And so like if you're a marketer or if you're a sales guy and you look at a business with a constraint, you're going to identify that based on the skill that you have. It's sort of like the chess master problem, where these chess masters have this one strategy that they always sort of anchor back to, regardless of what happens, right? And so there's this eye tracking pattern, or this recognition system that was able to track the eye movements of these players. And when they were presented with a mismatch in board pieces, right? And so they're anchoring back to the strategy that they best know. And that narrowed their scope, and they end up losing because they didn't open up their mind to the higher level strategic play, because their skill was making them blind to potential outcomes that could have caused the win. right? So this is one of the skills that is like so incredibly important. And if you're just getting started, this isn't something that you necessarily have to worry about in a way. Like, you just need to take action. Like, if you're below 10K a month, you need to just talk to your ICP, uncover their problems, and use that information from what they talk about within your conversations to optimize and get more specific on the problem that your offer solves. It's like, it's one thing to just ideate an offer based on your skill set, but it's another to actually communicate with those people and then figure out what actual problems do they have and how is your skill best suited to solve that problem and ultimately bridge the gap between where they are and their desired situation, right? It's like Hell Island and Heaven Island. You're simply just making them feel the pain, and your solution is the heaven, right? So you create this gap between, where they are and where they need to be. That's how it works fundamentally. And so the core premise that I'm really trying to hit home today is that when we expand outside of what's known, the individual execution layer, right? It's like when me and you are executing, maybe we're having conversations with our ICP, maybe we're, on a sales call, maybe we're looking at better ways to optimize a specific thing. And it's like, when we zoom out, it's like, is this thing actually something that we need to optimize right now? Right? We look at the variables, we lay out all our assets on the table, and we look at everything objectively. What is going to move the needle in the best possible way so that we can get closer to the outcome in our goal of making 50K, 100K per month? And then a lot of the times it's like, when we look at the object level, the tactics, a lot of the times you just need to eliminate shit. Like, so this is one of the most important things too, is because like when we look at the strategy level, it's all about either optimizing what exists or adding new things. When in reality, we can just eliminate stuff and get a better, like have a leaner operating system or a leaner, content strategy, a leaner sales system, a leaner offer. And then once you eliminate those components that are basically just weights on top of what you actually have and what you do, that's how we can get a better, clear, a more lean and efficient system and process with more effective outcomes, because there are less moving parts that we need to focus on. And it diverts our attention to things that don't matter, right? So it's like on my path, when I first hit my first $30,000 month, it was, however long ago, I think it was like 12 months ago or something. When I first hit 30K a month, there were a select few things. I had this bloated operating system. I had this bloated infrastructure. I thought that having, automated emails and AI analyzing all of my sales calls and like giving me a report on what's working, what's not, and then adding that to an arsenal, and then having an AI get trained on all the previous sales call and have like this report. And then figuring out, and I had this bloated infrastructure that didn't bring any value to me. Sure, I got some insights on my sales calls, whatever. But like the time that I spent building all of that stuff, I could have been talking to my ICP. I could have been setting appointments. I could have been learning about their problems at a deeper level and ultimately making offers along the way and collecting emails and really just like engaging within the ecosystem and having my prospects come into my world. This is one of the, like, I know I'm talking quickly and like this is just, I guess that's sort of how I'm getting better at this. This is my 5th video or something, 5th out of the 30-day challenge, one a day on YouTube. So mind you, I'm still working on my speaking capability. But the thing that I really want to communicate here is that you have one thing to focus on, okay? One thing. And obviously there are some components in which you want to do simultaneously, right? Like you want to create content as you go, because that's going to be an asset that's just like one of the things that should be a non-negotiable in your day. It's like brushing your teeth, right? It's like you're not going to like focus specifically on brushing your teeth today. Like that's the one thing I'm going to do today. No, it just happens because that's something that you do and you're disciplined to the action. And so that's sort of how I think about these videos right now, is that like it's sort of just something that I have to do today. It's not like the core focus, right? It's like it's something that is going to provide value and accelerate the growth and become a brand asset over time. But if we think about like the actual objective within the day, it's like I need to be talking to my leads. I need to be nurturing them. I need to be, helping my clients and basically operating within the business in a way that is going to move the needle. And trust me, I am a victim of this myself, of like having this massive task list and not knowing what to prioritize because I don't know what's going to be the best thing to move the needle today and get me closer to the goal. But like ultimately, we're in the business of making money. And so it's like, what needs to occur for us to make money? We need to talk to leads. We need to set appointments. So we need to have sales calls and we need to close them. Or if your brand is strong enough, you don't need to have the sales call and you just send them a fucking Google Doc or something. Like something that's, we're actually doing this now, right? With our email list, and it's sort of like this test case of, we have over 2,000 emails that we send daily emails over. And we're sort of doing this test where, we have these CTAs within the email, reply when, and I'll send you over a doc that shows you how to monetize your skill and get to 250K per year with your skill, right? And with personal branding and all that stuff. And it's basically this Google Doc that goes over a lot of my offer, right? It's like, what do we actually do? What problem do we solve? How do we help you get to the outcome? And what are the actual deliverables? What does the path look like? Because once you can see the path laid out, you're going to be much more likely to purchase, want to work with me, because it's so crystal clear. You know exactly what's going to happen on day 1, day 7, day 10, day 30, month 4, right? Like you're going to know exactly what's going to need to be optimized. And again, this is subject to change, right? Because everyone's sort of in a different journey within their business, right? You could be watching this at 20K per month and you're going to have a little bit more, you're going to have different problems. Most likely, you've already validated that your offer works. And so most likely if you're at 20K per month, you need to either increase your deal size, get more clients, or optimize your fulfillment in a way that doesn't because sometimes if you're at 20K per month, you're not gonna have enough capacity to fulfill for 5 extra clients in that month. You may think you could, but you need to productize a lot of the stuff. And so that's sort of an operational bottleneck that you need to solve. But really it comes down to pricing and then just getting more leads because your offer is already validated. And so that's a quick, off the cuff example of how we would help with that. And so when you're able to eliminate a lot of the tasks that you don't need to do so that you can optimize the right ones, that's what's going to be moving the needle in the best way possible for your business so that you can achieve your goal. And a lot of people start, and this is what I like to start with, is mindset. Because if you're just getting started, or maybe you're at 10K per month or 20K per month, the level of resistance, the perceived level of resistance that you have between 10K a month and 100K a month or 50K per month is so great. It's you could be deliverable stacking. You could have all these, deliverables and still be at 10K per month, totally bogged down with client work. And you just don't have enough capacity. And you're in this trap of not valuing your skill and your deliverables and the things that you can actually help your clients with. And so what do you need to do? You need to analyze what's going on. What are the economics within my business? What is my own contribution margin? Right? It's is my own contribution margin, am I outside of scope within the work that I actually do and promised or agreed upon with my existing clients? And a lot of people are afraid to fire bad clients. It's don't be afraid to fire bad clients if they're just complete cognitive hogs within your time and your actual mental capacity. You're just getting so overwhelmed with the work that they actually require. And it's just not they're paying you, but you need to think about yourself as a higher level asset in that aspect. Higher level growth requires you to distinguish activity from progress. Because you can be actively doing things and not moving the needle and not progressing your business in any meaningful way. And so the ability to think at a meta level and identify what is simply just activity that is taking up my time and what are the things that I'm doing that is actual progression within the business. And what you're doing is you're basically getting this ability, you're gaining this skill to observe the business as is versus just simply operating within it. And I think that is the key thing, because a lot of people pay for this type of stuff. They pay for someone else to come into their business and look at the landscape and give them, an action plan, right? They'll pay for a consultant to come into the business and objectively look at what's going on. What is happening? Why can't you scale? What is the main constraint? And if we were to alleviate that, what would happen? If we open up the floodgates, are things going to break? Or where is your time and energy and effort best served? And I'll leave you with this question. Can you understand the system well enough to determine what work should exist? Because ultimately, we are in the business of progression towards our goal. And that's it. Anything else is nothing. Like, we don't want to focus on that. So hopefully this is helpful. I'll see you in the next one.